Hello, everyone. Welcome back to The Blitz, your weekly high school football show brought to you by First Federal Savings of Lorain. I'm Marissa McNeese with the Chronicle Telegram, back as always with my partner behind the camera, Kristen Bauer. We're on the road again today. This week, we're at Wildcat Stadium at Keystone High School, where this Friday, one of the biggest games of the season will be played right here on this field. But before we get into that, before we preview that game, and even before we recap a really exciting week 4, I'm going to start today's show a little bit differently. I have a couple shout outs I want to give. The first goes out to my hometown, Southgate Anderson Titans, picking up their first win of the season, 2014, over Edsel Ford. Now in Michigan, where I'm from, the MHSAA had decided originally to postpone the fall season to the spring. But after seeing, here in Ohio and other places where they were able to, for the most part, successfully have a season amid this pandemic, they decided, let's get it going. So first game was this past Friday, a big win for my hometown Titans. So a big shout out goes out to Southgate. Now, my next shout out goes out to me. Finally, after 4 weeks on the Chronicle Telegram picket line, your girl went 12-0, a perfect undefeated record on the picket line. Now, I wasn't the only one. There was a couple others. And I'm still not quite in first place. I still have not quite caught up to my sports editor, Kevin April. But I've got my eye. There's still a couple weeks left, and I am determined to have a couple more 12-0 weeks. So I had to give a shout out to myself. I said on Twitter I was going to dedicate a whole segment to my undefeated week. I won't quite go that far, but a big shout out goes out to me for going 12-0 this week. All right, enough of that. Let's get into a really exciting week 4 we had this past week. The first game we're going to talk about, and we talk a lot about the Lorain County League this season, but rightfully so. Last season, a really exciting conference to watch. Up and down, there was ties for first place, lead changes all over the place. Pretty much the same this season. This week, we had Columbia taking on Wellington, with the Raiders coming up big 30-12 over Wellington, a team in Wellington that's on the rise, had a really good season last year, is continuing that momentum despite a 1-3 record. But Columbia, on the other hand, 2 straight losses to start the season, has won back-to-back and has outscored its last 2 opponents 73-18. A lot of offense over there in Columbia. Joe Governale, he scores twice for Columbia this week, 112 yards on 22 carries, and Owen Mengi, 4 passes for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. A really, really big win for Columbia over a good Wellington team that's going to continue to improve as the years go on under head coach Rob Howells. All right, let's move over to the Southwestern Conference, where probably the biggest game of last week, we had Avon Lake taking on Amherst, and it was the Shoremen coming up victorious 21-7 over the Comets. And in that one, it was all Gage Dusler for Avon Lake. He carried the ball 27 times for 224 yards, 3 touchdowns. It was just his second 200-yard performance of his career, but I know Coach Matt Kostelnik credited a lot of that to the big guys up front, the offensive line, and I know Gage as well, created a lot of holes for him up front, allowed him for that 200-yard performance, those 3 scores. He's been running all over teams this year. It's been really, really exciting to watch. And that loss for Amherst now creates a 3-way tie for second place. We have Avon Lake, Amherst, and Olmsted Falls all at 3-1 behind an undefeated Avon at 4-0 at the top of the Southwestern Conference. Okay, for the second week in a row, I've got to talk about the Elyria Catholic Panthers, who picked up another big win. That's second in a row for the Panthers, 33-14 over Buckeye. We have quarterback Steven Navolinsky making use of his big receivers down there on offense. But it was the defense that really shined. They had 3 sacks, 3 interceptions, which was huge because the Panthers did fall behind 7-0 early on in that game. They've won 2 straight. And this is a team to keep an eye on. We've got 2 more games left in the regular season. And as we head in to the start of the postseason, Elyria Catholic is going to be a team to keep an eye on. After that week 1 loss to Elyria, really starting to hit its stride and play some really good football this season. In other scores from around the county in week 4, we have Berea Mid-Park topping Midview 28-24. The Middies comeback bid falls a little bit short, a really tough loss for Midview. Olmsted Falls 47-16 over North Ridgeville. We have Medina 61-7 over Elyria. Huron topping Vermilion 42-7. Black River 49-8 over Oberlin, and another big win for Avon, 42-14 over North Olmsted. The Eagles undefeated and all alone atop the Southwestern Conference. All right, it's time to name our First Federal Savings of Lorain Team of the Week. Again, I had to get some input. My partner, Kristen Bauer, I had to ask around, what do we think? Who looked the best this week? Who had some of the top performances? It was a really tough call. At the end of the day, I had to go with Avon Lake, a big 21-7 win over Amherst, taking down the undefeated Commons, and Gage Dusler with a huge performance for Avon Lake. A really nice, well-rounded game for the Shoremen, a big win to keep them in the hunt for the conference with 2 weeks left to go. And because of that, Avon Lake is your First Federal Savings of Lorain Team of the Week. Let's look ahead here to Week 5, second to last week of the regular season, where right here at Wildcat Stadium, we have Firelands taking on Keystone for a huge Lorain County League matchup. Essentially, the winner is in the driver's seat for the conference title. Keystone winning the inaugural Lorain County League title last season. Both teams enter this game a perfect 4-0. Keystone coming off a 2013 win over Brookside, and Firelands a huge shutout win, 55-0 over Clearview. Two teams with all kinds of momentum heading into this one. Firelands, one of the better defenses in Lorain County, obviously a 55-0 shutout of Clearview. And then you have Keystone, one of the more dynamic and exciting offenses we've seen, not just in Lorain County, but in Northeast Ohio. They've got a ton of great athletes. It's going to be really, really exciting to see that offense pitted against the Firelands defense in what's sure to be one of the better games we will see all season. There's a lot of hype around this game, and rightfully so. We will be bringing you all the action from the sidelines. Myself, my colleague Sean Bennett from the Chronicle Telegram will have all your coverage here from the game. So make sure you tune in this Friday, 7 p.m. For most of you who are unable to be at these games this season, WEOL has you covered, a slate of really good games this week for Week 5. On the radio and Stream 1 on WEOL, we have Midview traveling to North Ridgeville in a Southwestern Conference matchup. Online at WEOL.com, Stream 2, you can catch Columbia at Clearview. In another really good Lorain County League matchup, I said that's a conference to keep an eye on. It was exciting last season. It's been exciting this season too. Two really good teams going at it this Friday. And then for our Medina County matchup on Stream 3, WEOL.com, we have Brunswick traveling to Strongsville. Well, that's going to do it this week for the Blitz. For my partner, Kristen Bauer, I'm Marissa McNeese with the Chronicle Telegram. We will see you again next week with what I'm sure is going to be another exciting recap of Lorain County football. Until then, we'll see you next time.